Secretary Senator Akpan Uduadeye today returns to the party head office in Abuja. A new twist to the situation has been happening over the past day. And former Vice President Atiku today disclosed to some members of the PDP Board of Trustees his interest to run for president in 2023. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channel Television. I'm Sean Kimbale in Abuja. Let's begin by telling you that former Vice President Atiku has formally informed the People's Democratic Party Board of Trustees of his intention to run for president in 2023 general elections. Mr. Atiku, who met with the PDP BOT members in Abuja, says if given the ticket of the party, it will build bridges across the region.
Please join me in building bridges across this country. So that every part of this country will have a sense of belonging. Leaders, elders, wise men of this our great party. I now wish to call on you to please give me another opportunity to advance all these ideals of our party, very beautiful ideals, so that we can further consolidate democracy, unity, and development of our country. I cannot thank you enough for coming and for staying in this warm room. I wouldn't want to say it's hot, because it's not as hot as Jigawa, or not as hot as Yola.
That's the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Well, let's check out some of your political roundup stories now.
Ahead of the 2023 general elections, the PDP Elders Forum in Taraba State has issued a stern warning to the party to discontinue any plan to jettison the zoning arrangement in the state for the governorship position. They threatened that may affect the party's chances gravely. The forum advised the party to restrict the ticket to only aspirants from the northern zone of Taraba State in the interest of justice and equity.
We call on all aspirants to the office of the governor from the northern zone to close ranks and work assiduously in harmony.
But the All Progressives Congress thought otherwise. At another meeting in the state capital, the APC also issued a warning, but it was that any politician without the potentials of changing the narrative should not attempt purchasing forms for any position.
We need a leader who can build infrastructure, revive our educational sector.
The Social Democratic Party SDP held the same view with the APC. They maintained that their party considered visionary leadership, competence and foresightedness more important than zoning.
What we need in the state now is an issue of who will salvage the state.
A coalition of 19 Northern State Students Forum has set the agenda for presidential candidates in the forthcoming general elections. They demanded that education must top the list of requirements for anyone running for the office of the president. The chairman of the coalition, Mohammed Abbas, was speaking during the 2022 leadership lecture in Jigawa State. According to the group, the current ASU strike and the general nonchalant attitude of the political elite towards education in the country called for their resolution.
We want to see someone that will come and rescue the education system in Nigeria.
Actually, may we invite the chairman of the Chairman's Forum.
Some party chieftains of the All Progressives Congress in Cross River State are asking that power be returned to the Southern Senatorial District and the state. The party faithful during the press conference in Calabar said that the request is in consonance with the federal character principle of equity, peace and harmony. They consider the district as having men and women with impeccable character, institutional memory and the wherewithal to govern the state.
We like to achieve this as peacefully as possible as one family.
The Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel has assured women in the state that his administration will do all in its power to ensure equal opportunities for them. On the agitation for 35% inclusion of women in government, the governor assured that the People's Democratic Party has put in place a gender-friendly template to promote the inclusion of women in politics. Governor Emmanuel gave the assurances while addressing women during the grand finale of the 2022 International Women's Day celebration in the state capital with the theme Gender Equality for Sustainable Tomorrow.
It is in PDP that you see even in our constitution. We said that even when you're picking hard rock delegates, you can't cheat the women. No other party. Only which party?
The People's Democratic Party has asked the Independent National Electoral Commission to issue its candidates a certificate of return following the court's judgment on the defection of Governor David Umahi of Ebonyi State from the PDP to the APC. The national chairman of the PDP, Senator Yacha Ayu, stated this during the caucus meeting of the party. He described as unacceptable what he called a delay by the Independent National Electoral Commission. He was speaking in Abuja during the party's 41st caucus meeting. Also discussed at the meeting was the party's timetable and guidelines ahead of the 2023 general elections.
Certified true copy of the judgment has been served on INEC, and INEC should respond accordingly.
And the senator representing Kaduna Central Senatorial Zone in the National Assembly, Umahi, has declared his intention to join the governorship race ahead of the 2023 elections. Senator Sani, a former political advisor to Governor Nasir El-Rufai, made his intention known when he visited the Kaduna State Secretariat of the All Progressives Congress. The declaration by Umahi, a close ally of the incumbent governor, comes barely a week after Governor El-Rufai announced that his successor will be selected from the core team of his administration, who are part of the policy formulations made by his administration since 2015.
I am conversant with the developmental challenges of Kaduna State. I understand its complexity and possibilities.
Well then, let's give you an insight of what happened earlier today at the APC, the All Progressives Congress National Headquarters in Abuja. Well, it was an interesting scene for those who were not expecting the National Secretary of the Caretaker Committee to appear, Senator Akpan Udua there, but he did. He was there earlier today amidst the company of his allies and armed security personnel. His return to the Secretariat comes days after Niger State Governor Abubakar Bello summed the Secretariat with some APC governors and announced that he was the acting national chairman of the CECPC of the party, a move believed to mean the ousting of Governor Memala Boni of Yobe State as the chairman of the committee. After resuming at the Secretariat, Senator Udua issued a statement insisting that the party remains united and strong and that Governor Boni remains in charge with the committee working to ensure the party's national convention holds on the 26th of March 2022. Last Monday, reports emerged that Governor Boni had been sacked while Akpan Udua was no longer the CECPC secretary. Take a listen to the secretary, Senator Akpan Udua.
That our party is resilient and stronger than ever, and there is no trouble anywhere in our party. I have made a press release, which I will circulate to all of you with a press statement, and that's all I can say for now. Thank you.
It wasn't up to a minute, yes. When we were previewing this tape, I thought there was a mistake from those who covered the event. But actually, that was all Senator Akpan Udua said earlier today. Well, for those who believe that more is in less, maybe we'll be finding out if truly in the things that he did not say, there are more to it. Let's get talking about this one tonight. I have a panel to discuss this tonight with me. I have a chieftain of the APC, Senator Abubakar Agada. Thank you so much, distinguished senator, for coming tonight.
Thank you for the invitation.
And I have a political analyst, Mr. Jude Ojo. Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
And from our Lagos studio is a lawyer and a political strategist, Mr. Curtis Adigba. Thank you so much, Mr. Adigba, for coming tonight.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
I think I should begin with you, Mr. Adigba. I mean, for those, last week, Monday, was exactly a week ago when we saw Governor Bello appeared at the Secretariat and said, look, I'm now the acting national chairman. And words were coming out that Governor Buni had been booted out. In fact, we had Governor El-Rufai say here that the president had wanted Governor Buni out and wanted Bello to take over the Emma's affairs. And it was also part of the reading of the temperature of things that Senator Akpan Uduade was also on the going towards the exit door. From your own reading, from the legal point of view, and what has been happening in the APC, the return of Senator Akpan Uduade on the back of the statement that came out in the weekend from President Muhammadu Buhari about the situation of things, do you think that there is a new twist?
There is what?
Do you feel that there is a new twist? Maybe the Buni team are coming back.
Well, I would rather say it this way. Sean, it does not matter if the cat is black or white. What matters is if it catches mice. Now, don't forget that the party was basically stagnant. Nobody was sure whether the party's convention was going to hold or not hold. Now, what the El-Rufai group did that brought in Bello, who is part of the original team, to do what he did so far, and now what is happening, that the Buni group are also coming back and promising to work in the same direction, shows that something happened within the party that is working. And so my position is that thing should continue to go on and let the party move forward. Now, if the president, based on the information that was available to him, agreed with the El-Rufai faction of the party, and I hope they are one now, like the senator just said, made the move that he made, triggered certain actions within the party. We had the state exco sworn in, the chairman of the party at the 36th state level sworn in. The list of zoning was released. It showed that there was a movement. And if the president, now realizing that in the context of the reality that we have on ground, based on the rules that might prevent the party from moving forward, now understands and feels that all members of the party must behave themselves and that there's a need to come back to base, and that also has achieved certain results, so be it. What is important is that the party is moving forward and the party is going to hold its convention and members are coming together, which is key.
Senator Gada, for you, because what is emerging now is a story that some leaders of the party are already going to London to see President Buhari. One after the other, they're going. Those are the stories that we are hearing. Does it look like the president has changed his mind from the earlier instruction that Governor Bello should take over? Now we're seeing the Buni team coming in.
You see, Mr. Seun, my brother from Lagos, Mr. Adigba, he virtually and absolutely said all that my mind would have said. And so I give it to him that he made a wonderful contribution from Lagos. And simply for the next 1 hour, whatever we will be saying, we will only be paraphrasing what my brother Adigba have said. Simple, because there's nothing to add, except if we need any other specifics that maybe to elaborate, because he has fundamentally said everything. You understand? The
question I asked is a bit different from what I asked him. And the question I asked you, I'm asking because you're chieftain of the party.
Yeah.
As a very senior member of the party, yeah, I was asking that there are some members, leaders of the party that have gone to London to meet President Buhari. And it does look like there was a change of mind as far as the body language of the president in the instructions are concerned, and the things that the event of the last few days is concerned. It does look like there is a change, there is a new twist. And I'm asking you, that does it look like President has reabsorbed Governor Bunin, based on the earlier instruction that he should be let out?
See, like I'm still coming back to my brother. The dynamics of politics changes by the minute. Mr. President, being the father of the party, will always have to take decisions based on the reality, based on what is before him. And then you also look at the larger picture and take a position or give a direction. And this is exactly what Mr. President has. Going to London or not going to London is not an issue. What is important is the party requires certain level of interventions for things to move in the direction that Nigerians expect. And Mr. President, as a father, leader of the party, will have simply to create that atmosphere for
so you don't think the president has changed his mind?
What has he done to have changed the mind?
From someone who said, Buni go, Bello come. Yeah. And now, a few days after, now the Buni team looks like coming back.
You have to go back to see the procedure for changing leadership in the party. We have a constitution.
So you think maybe the president made an error in the judgment?
No. It is you. Maybe your perception could be wrong.
It is. I'm not a member of your party.
Hey, but so you could have this is your perception. What you are saying is a product of your perception.
Is it a matter of perception or a matter of the reality of what happened?
Yes, it's a matter of perception.
Why do politicians think that the rest of us don't know what we're saying?
No. When
you are the players. Yes. Your party was in the
sometimes
there was an instruction earlier that Governor Buni should go, but now we're seeing that Governor Buni is to be left. And a simple question, Senator.
Who gave the instruction?
Governor Nasir Rufai, at that same spot we were sitting, sat here last week to say the instruction from President Buhari is that Governor Bello should take over.
Okay, I think you could recall him to review that, because I know the change of leadership in a party is procedural, is constitutional, and is conventional. And so any other things to the contrary will beat my imagination.
I know you to be a very conservative person. You are most conservative today. Keep it up. Let me continue, Mr. Ojo. From your own reading as an external person, what do you think has changed in the last few days? A lot of things that seem to have changed.
Definitely a lot has changed. A lot has changed from first, the change was brought about by that letter from INEC. That was the game changer.
Yeah.
Because the Bello team wrote to INEC to say, we are going to be having a NEC meeting on the 17th, which is Thursday, and we want your presence. And INEC raised two key issues. First is that to HIT or to INEC, it does not recognize those who signed that letter, inviting it to that NEC meeting of March 17. Two, INEC cited Section 82, subsection 1 of the Electoral Act 2022 to wit that any meeting, congress, convention, merger, any conference that you need to do as a political party, you must give INEC 21 days. And INEC raised that issue that I think it got the letter on the 8th, and you are going to be having this event on the 17th. So mathematically, you have not met the threshold of 21 days. And so what was implied, but which was not stated in that INEC letter, is Section 82, subsection 5, which says, in the event that you didn't meet the provision of Section 82, subsection 1
of 21 days pre-notice.
Of 21 days, whatever you do is a nullity. So, from that February 25th, 2022, the dynamics of the demands of INEC from political party has changed. And why
they argued, APC will argue and say, look, that section talks about election, congresses, convention.
And meetings.
Meetings relating to... That's how it was couched. That clause was relating to election, meetings, convention, congress, relating to change of office, change in leadership.
But they were going to confirm Bello's takeover on March 17. That's what NEC was going to do.
Does it now look like maybe they were being instructed by that clause to say look, you cannot do it. Like,
That's
just
what
allow
we are
Buni
saying.
to come back.
Because it's not just an ordinary meeting that is going to hold on March 17.
It's an affirmation.
It was an affirmation. Because the question that has been raised is that, look, NEC is the only one. NEC was the one that gave birth to Buni CPC on June 25, 2020. And if there will be a change, like the senator is referring, if there is going to be a change of leadership, it should be by the same procedure. So NEC has to meet. And the NEC meeting is scheduled for March 17. But ironically, they have not been able to meet two key ingredients that will allow that meeting to hold without being in breach. The first being that the person who should, and this is why APC shot itself in the foot. There was a claim that Buni officially wrote an handover letter, which Bello claimed he never received, which obviously did not get to INEC. Because if the letter got to INEC, INEC will not be saying in that letter back to APC leadership that we do not recognize who you are and your capacity in which you are signing this letter.
Let me see if we can show the two letters and probably make a sense out of it. The first one being the INEC, this is it. So this is the response of INEC to APC and citing the section 82 subsection 1 of the Electoral Act, which is asking that 21 days be given for the it says for issue of Congress, any convention, Congress, conference, or meeting convened for the purpose of merger and electing members of its executive committee, other governing bodies of the party. So, if you look at the wordings of this, let me bring back Mr. Adigba. Mr. Adigba, from the wordings of this letter, what can you relate? How can you relate with it, considering the situation of things?
Okay, so before I speak to the letters, let me quickly make a point about the coming back of Buni. I think Buni never left at any point in time. Let's look at the clear picture. We have a situation where it was claimed that Buni had written a letter to Bello, a member of his committee, saying, you act because I'm not going to be in the country. Now, Bello moved into the office and was acting, all right? And when the impression was created that Bello had become the substantive chairman in place of Buni, that letter came out saying, no, but Buni had handed over to Bello. Now, if that occurred, and Bello said, I didn't get the letter, and INEC did not get the letter, then the question one should be asking is, was the letter an afterthought or not? If it is not so, the letter by INEC is deeply troubling, and people will not understand the implication of that letter right now. INEC is bogged down by things that should not concern INEC in the first place. Why should INEC be involved in all the meetings that political parties hold in this country? First of all, they don't have the resources, human or material, to be able to do all that. And we should be looking at the situation whereby INEC, as a matter of fact, should not be in a position to dictate to a political party who the leader of that party should be at any point in time. That's the internal affair of a political party. And so, because the Electoral Act provides that INEC will all have to be involved in all this, we're having this conflict right now. But I think this is something we must watch for the future. The Federal Electoral Commission in the United States is not involved in all these kind of things. They don't even conduct election. They just lay down the guidelines for political parties to follow. Okay? And how you raise your funds and spend the funds, the violations, the limits, and that is what they are concerned with. That's why you don't hear the Federal Electoral Commission announce who is the winner of an election, either at the presidential level or at the governorship level. These are local matters for local authorities. Now, coming to these letters, you can see the intrigue that is being played around the convention, and all because a particular group want to ensure that its interest is protected, and the other group is fighting to ensure that their own interest is protected. My position is very simple. INEC wrote that letter latching onto the intrigue in the party just to ensure that the party cannot move forward And I'm saying that looking at the Electoral Act that we are all celebrating is going to help the future elections, is going to improve substantially the electoral process. There are landmines in that electoral law that we'll begin to see as we move forward. The truth is that political parties should have the liberty to hold their meetings and then send the outcome of those meetings to INEC. INEC cannot...
Mr. Adigba, I mean, because of your legal knowledge, let me ask you, is this letter a kind of a landmine for the APC?
Yes.
If, for example, Mr. Bello, the governor of Niger State, presides over the NEC on Thursday,
yes,
and if the party holds a NEC and makes any decision relating based on the section that the INEC has brought out to APC, could it be a problem lying in wait for the APC?
Of course, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem based on the provision of the laws. But the point I'm trying to make is, if Bello was acting, and don't forget that Mr. President said Bello should act in place of Buni, right? And Buni said, I sent a letter to Bello to act in my place. So the question is, if Bello was acting in the place of Buni, why can't Bello write a letter to INEC and that letter be recognized? That's my number one point. Now, my number 2 point is that why should INEC be involved in all the meetings of a political party? That is overreaching. Because political parties should be independent.
Isn't that what the law has provided? That INEC must supervise
That's what I'm saying.
election and activities of all the political parties.
And this is
it's enshrined in the law, isn't it?
Yes, I agree with you, but I'm looking at the future. And this is why we're having problem conducting election. We're moving from one group of error to another group of errors from time to time. Because of the political pressure that certain law must be passed. Do you understand what I'm saying? So nobody is paying attention to the details of this law. For instance, if you then say that INEC must be involved in all meetings of a political party, and that if INEC is not involved or present, the meetings are not valid, or the meetings cannot do anything that will be acceptable to INEC. Do you understand what I'm saying? What happens if INEC is unable to provide staff or members to attend these meetings? Can we say that the parties will continue to wait until INEC is in a position to do so? What is important is that the parties should run according to their constitution.
Post this to you before I come back to Lagos, to the Abuja studio. And this is it. Very quickly, if you can intervene, is the fact that could it be that the position of President Buhari before last week Monday, he is now been advised, legally speaking, and he perhaps have seen that it's made an error in judgment and rescinded that decision. Could it be the situation now?
So, you never heard directly from the president, all right? You heard from one of the actors, Governor El-Rufai, and he said they met with the president, laid the situation before the president, and they succeeded in convincing the president that Bello should act. That is consistent with the position of the president. And that is also consistent with the position of Governor Buni, that in fact he handed over the affairs of the party to Governor Bello before he left the country. Now, in the light of what is happening and in the light of the letter, I think the president may have been advised that considering that the party's convention is going to hold on the 26th, there is no need to rock the boat. So why don't you maintain the status quo? That in fact has not been changed as far as I'm concerned because of that letter that popped up. So what the president is doing is actually being realistic by saying, look, there's no need to rock the boat. We are heading to our destination. Let's stay in this boat and drive it carefully to the destination. And that's exactly what he's doing.
All right. Mr. Adiba, another big challenge here is the many court orders that a lot of them that the party is not even aware of at the moment. Yes. The convention is just less than 10 days away. Yes. Now, we understand now that there are a team of senior advocates of Nigeria, lawyers, that have been set up by the APC to start going from one court to the other to look for where APC may have had one court order or the other to stop this convention. We take a break. And when we come back, we look at what may be in the way of APC from conducting this convention. Senator Gada will tell you that everything is fine, everything is perfect. Well, I expect him to say that. But we still have Mr. Jide Ojo here with me. And at some point, we'll be bringing in Mr. Femi Falana. There's an interesting scenario that is playing out, which we'd like to get the legal opinion of Mr. Femi Falana right on the program. Don't go anywhere. So much more to talk about. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Mr. Curtis Adiba, a lawyer, political strategist in our Lagos studio. Senator Abubakar Gada, a former federal lawmaker and chieftain of the APC. And Mr. Jide Ojo, a political analyst. Three of them are giving insight on the situation of the APC as it presently is right now. One thing I like to clarify, and a lot of Nigerians to know, because there seems to be some confusion, but look, some people will say there's no confusion, there's no ambiguity. If we can bring back the INEC letter on the screen so that we can just wrap up on that note, is the fact that that section that INEC was making reference to does look to me, correct me if I'm wrong, does look to me like not all the meetings, it has to do with elective meetings, is it?
Exactly, yeah. It has to do with meeting where elections will hold. It's not just everyday meeting.
So the next meeting may not apply here?
No, you see, if this forthcoming meeting was to ratify.
Yeah.
It was more like a change of leadership kind of thing, which is why I think I'm not sure INEC will want to be in everyday meeting of a political party. Yes, and INEC do have the resources. I beg to disagree with my learning friend Curtis. INEC do have enough personnel and could actually hire any personnel to do that. It's about oversighting political parties, and you know it's a constitutional responsibility. Mm-hmm. So we are the one asking INEC to do the needful to sanitize the electoral process. And this what political parties haven't gotten to know, and which they should just try and get to know, is that they need to get a copy of the electoral 2022. There is a lot of demands. In fact, when I was reading that, the signed copy from the president, political parties now have to give INEC their membership register. Absolutely. Both soft copy and hard copy.
I was reading it too, and I was afraid that there are a lot of things that the political parties need to know. Exactly. There are new novel, and for the election that they will be prosecuting.
Timelines have changed. Yeah. So many timelines have
different
changed.
From what they
different from what
and
they
elections
were
are here already.
Oh,
They're in the election period.
So the truth has to be said that you see, with the kind of impunity that has reigned over the last 23 years in our democracy, we actually need an electoral like this. How could the president be justifying that the reason why we cannot do direct primary was because some parties do not have membership register? And is it not a crying shame that we have a party that rules this country for 16 years and could not say, this is our membership register? Let them do claims and objection, publish for the public to see. Now they have to provide both the soft copy and the hard copy 30 days to election. Yeah. That is what is demanded.
And the issue of the funding of political parties and the source of funding, the few dimensions that have changed.
So many things have changed.
Now, what is your biggest fear, Jide?
My biggest fear.
Thursday is one big one for APC.
Sure.
How that pans out, we'll be watching out. I mean, now things are unfolding ahead of Thursday. How things go on Thursday will be a very big one. And also the convention day that is just about 9 or 10 days away. What is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear is those litigations. 208 court cases and still counting.
That are known.
That are known.
The unknown.
No, that's what I'm saying.
The fear of the unknown
according to the Punch newspaper, according to the Punch newspaper, 208 and still counting. So where do you start? 11 days to convention, no activity. The chairmen were inaugurated, the committees were inaugurated, but newspapers reported that no activity is going on. Today they just published sales of form. 20 million for chairmanship aspirant, 10 million for deputy chairmanship aspirant. And I asked myself, if I pay 20 million and you are still pushing for consensus, does that make sense? How will I pay 20 million and you will still be pushing me towards having a consensus candidate? And meanwhile, this 20 million, when I pay it as an aspirant, is not refundable. Shouldn't that be a consideration that, okay, if we are pushing for consensus ab initio, sell only one form to that consensus candidate, so that issues around withdrawal, pressuring people to withdraw will not come up. Otherwise, when you now say you are pushing, because that is what is reported in the dailies, that the governors have not started meeting the aspirants to get them to step down for one another. And you see, Senator Makura said he's not stepping down for Senator Abdullahi Adamu, and it has also come out that it was a lie that the president has endorsed Senator Adamu Abdullahi. That there was no.
It's not the first that he said the president has. You know, I mean, I've worked in places where they said Oga said.
That's what is also playing out. Fake news.
So when
fake
you find
news is also another thing you need to be aware of.
Yes.
So
in places where you find Oga said, it's always a problem, isn't it? And when you hear the president said, and that is what is causing the trouble now, because people don't even know what exactly.
You have not heard from the president
said.
Directly.
Senator Gada, what is your biggest fear ahead of aside the court cases?
We don't. You see, you already out of your mischief framed.
I said it earlier. The problem of the political party is not aside the politician, is every other person aside the politician.
Yeah, because you see.
So we are the one who cause the problem.
You generate the problem in your mental imagination, you magnify it, and you put it forth as if that's the reality.
Was I the one who asked the government police to step aside? Why are you blaming me for the woes of your party, Senator Gada?
No, but you see, the problem with some referees, you know, over dramatize, you know, the control of the scenery. So that is
maybe you people, when you are in the arena, you don't feel the drama. We on the outside, maybe we see more of the drama. I mean, you heard Mr. Jide Ojo and you heard Mr. Adigba analyzing the issues for you. There are major issues that will crumble your party if it's not careful. And that's what we're bringing out to you. And as the leader of the party, and I'm asking, what is your biggest fear?
Most of these claims.
Are they claims or real things?
They are not real. Somebody said we have this number of court cases. Where is the source? I mean, put a question to the guy or to the source of that information, you have some surprises.
No, I have one of those copies. I can show you.
So
one of the court orders.
You know,
that have been issued in November
last year, yeah.
So that's one, and that's the one that is going around.
Governor Rufai said that they have over 200 cases, court orders. And your party today has raised senior advocate. It's not me saying it; it's in the news that several senior advocates have been raised by your party.
This is a party that has the capacity to manage and take you to the promised land. What is the promised land? Successful convention come 26 March. Soon, bet me, you will be impressed.
I wish you the very best. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming tonight. Please stay with me. I must sincerely thank you, Mr. Adigba, Senator Gada, and Mr. Jide Ojo. Let's switch gears now. I mean, talk about issues related to legal matters. Nigeria will go into the poll 2023 with a lot of issues that have been thrown up. A lot of them are legal issues. From the issues of the Electoral Act 2022, yes, and the constitutional amendment, which now we've seen the voting in the National Assembly and anticipating voting from the state houses of assembly. Now, that on one hand, there are a lot of controversies when the president went to the National Assembly proposing an amendment to the Electoral Act 2022. But then the National Assembly had taken a move, the Senate precisely, had moved towards it and they voted against that move. Now, there was another interesting thing that happened, and it was in Ebonyi State, where a federal high court ruled that Governor Dave Umahi should vacate his office because of the defection, himself, the deputy, and some lawmakers in the Ebonyi State House of Assembly. But let's get some legal opinion now on some of these issues. I'm being joined by senior advocate and rights activist, Mr. Femi Falana, who joins us from Ghana. Thank you so much, Mr. Falana, for joining us tonight. Let me begin and get your quick views on two issues before I take you to Ebonyi. First is on the Electoral Act. The president proposed the amendment to Section 84, Subsection 12, that there must be some kind of collusion or with the Constitution, that there is a conflict of that section or subsection with the position of the Constitution. What's your view on that, on the proposition of the President?
Well, with respect, Seun, I think we have left the level of debate on that matter. The Senate has thrown out the proposed amendment by the President. Whether the House of Reps does so or not, the bill is, the proposed amendment is already out. Those who feel sufficiently strong about the rejection of the bill, the amendment proposed by the President, may have to test the constitutional validity of the section in the court. But as far as I'm concerned, we're either practicing democracy or not. We cannot bend the rules when it suits certain people. The National Assembly too should also not make laws to, as it were, ambush anybody. The point I'm making, when people say that the proposal, or rather the provision, prohibiting political appointees from participating or voting or being voted for in a primary of a political party is unconstitutional. Again, I think people are talking of discrimination to suit their purpose. In Nigeria, by virtue of some provisions of the Constitution, if you do not have a school certificate, you cannot contest election in Nigeria, even to become a councillor. Now, there are over 60 million illiterates in Nigeria who do not have school certificates. Nobody is protesting that 60 million people have been excluded from the political process. But when it comes to certain political appointees being restrained, being asked to resign from office if you want to participate in the primary of a party, we are saying that is discriminatory. Whereas what some of the legislators are saying, or what informed the provision, is that you may have a situation where the president or a governor may have about 1,000 political appointees who are going to be delegates in a primary. So the fear then is that the large number of political lieutenants may give certain people advantage over the other. Therefore, let us have a level playing field. Again, as I said, the bill has been rejected by the Senate. It's going to the House of Reps. But even if it is passed by the House of Reps, the bill is already out. So that's
I understand that a few persons, at least 3 or 4 that I am aware of, have since gone to court to challenge, that provision because they feel that it is against their fundamental right to vote and to be voted for. Let me take you into a very interesting area which you voiced out in a statement today in relation to Umahi and the Federal High Court judgment ousting or sacking Governor Dave Umahi, his deputy, and some members of the House of Assembly in Umahi instead. There's been an appeal to that, and there's been action by the governor and the deputy governor, and in fact the House, as members of the House. What's your view? There are precedents to this matter, but can a governor be removed in this manner?
Well, I think it was the late Lord Denny, a frontline British judge who said that if we say something has not been done before, and therefore we cannot do it, the society will become stagnant. In this particular instance, it is the first time that the validity of votes scored by a political party, not by a candidate, is being questioned based on a defection by the flag bearer of the party. In other words, during the 2019 governorship election in Umahi State, about 393,343 votes were scored by the PDP. Now, on the basis of those votes, a PDP government was formed in that state for a 4-year tenure. If along the way, the governor decided, as he did decide, to abandon the PDP, the question is, has he not abandoned the mandate, the 4-year tenure? In other words, my colleagues are saying, oh, the case of Atiku has resolved this matter. With profound respect, the question of the votes scored by the PDP never came up for determination. Secondly, it wasn't the president and the deputy and the vice president that decamped. It is an Obasanjo government, a PDP government. And substantially, the president did not decamp from the PDP. It's not like a military regime where you have Buhari Idi Agbon regime or Murtala Obasanjo regime. No. We're talking of Obasanjo regime. We're talking of Umahi regime in Umahi State. So if it was just the deputy governor that decamped, you can tell, Atiku decamped, and they said the Supreme Court said he had his freedom of association. But please, let people not embarrass the Supreme Court or distort the facts of that case. The Supreme Court did not pass the defection or what I call political prostitution. The Supreme Court did condemn what happened. The Supreme Court did say that Vice President Atiku ought to have resigned. And even if he resigned, he has no right to criticize the positions of the government, decisions of the government of which he was a part. However, his conduct would tantamount to misconduct, and the National Assembly would deal with it under Section 143 of the Constitution. In the entire case, the question of the validity of the votes credited to the PDP never arose. As in this case, where a governor got a mandate from the people and has abandoned the mandate. Yes, my colleagues are saying, the governor has his freedom of association. Oh yes, the freedom of the association of the governor, with profound respect, has not extinguished, has not annulled the over 393,000 the democratic right of the 393,000 voters. In other words, we are practicing democracy based on majoritarian rule, not minority rule. So there is no way the vote of a governor and his deputy can annul the 390.
Mr. Falano, if I may quickly jump in here. So some people will argue, lawyers have argued, that the position of the Constitution is very clear on how a governor or a deputy governor or a president or a vice president can be removed from office. This, they say, is not captured in the position of the Constitution. Any other law is secondary to the position, to the Constitution.
Again, the Constitution never envisaged. The Constitution never envisaged that a governor who has been elected on the platform of a political party will abandon the party, will abandon his mandate. So there is a new situation here.
But can anyone suffer any injury? Senior advocate, can anyone suffer any injury as not prescribed or captured by any law in the land, especially the Constitution? The Constitution has made it clear that nobody will suffer any injury for any offense that is not captured by the law.
Nobody has suffered an injury here. What the governor ought to have done was to resign from office, haven't abandoned the mandate, haven't cut short his tenure, because we are practicing democracy, where the governor refused to quit. As in this case, the court can order him to quit, because what he has done was never envisaged by the Constitution. And there is no constitution in the world that will capture all eventualities or circumstances. And this is not the first time in the history of Nigeria. It's not provided in the Constitution that if there is a rerun election, a governor who won the same election, who was in office, participated in a rerun election, and now won, nowhere is it stated that the governor will complete his term of office. But in this, some lawyers argue that once the governor wins, he starts a new tenure. The Supreme Court said no. In the case of Obi and Ngige, in Anambra State, it was never in the Constitution that if somebody didn't win election, spent 36 months. Many lawyers argue the winner of the election, Obi, would then complete the term. I said, which time? And the Supreme Court so held that the moment Governor Obi took his oath of office, his tenure will begin to run. It's not provided in the Constitution, by the way.
A lot of people, a lot of people will also make reference to Abegunde case. But we just have 30 seconds to close the program, Mr. Falano. The case has gone to our appeal court. It will be interesting, isn't it, to see what the Supreme Court will say as a court of finality in the land, isn't it?
No, I think it's going to get to the Supreme Court. And I do hope that this time around, we are going to put an end to political immorality in our country, whereby if you are elected on the platform of the party, you can vote for votes, and if the party abandon that party, you have abandoned your party, and you must go in. And unless we do that,
thank you so much.
We're not going to put an end to impunity in the land.
Thank you so much, Mr. Femi Falana, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, speaking to us from Accra in Ghana. Thank you so much indeed for giving us your views or your legal position on this matter. Thank you so much indeed. I must sincerely thank the panel also. We discussed our earlier matter. Mr. Curtis Adigba in our Lagos studio, Senator Abubakar Gada, and Mr. Jide Ojo. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on. But that's our show today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm sure Kimale. Bye-bye.